And then whenever you're,
And Sean's on, you said?
John is on, yep, whenever you're 6:30 done.
Okay. And Travis wasn't gonna be on at all? He's just gonna be gone?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we'll call the meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order. First order would be roll call.
Donna Evans,
Here.
Dean Peterson, Lamont Kiefer,
Here.
Jeff Cram,
Here.
Adam Gigas,
Here.
Sean Sabinski,
Here.
Richard Yerington, Mike Murray, Travis Schulte.
Okay, moving on, we'll do approval of the minutes from January 11th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion approved. Moving on to reports, treasurer's report. Doing it around. Julia, are you out there?
We have a phone on the Zoom meeting. Are you muted?
Okay.
Table to later in the meeting if she shows.
Table till later if she shows up tonight. Thank you.
The motion on the table that,
So moved.
the second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved to table, but later in the meeting. Parks and Rec, Joe?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I guess for the sake of time, we got a lot on the agenda tonight. There's the report in front of you. Open to any questions or concerns for the month. Just getting ready for, hopefully weather breaking, getting things moving forward for spring activities, summer, so forth. So any questions, concerns?
How's construction looking over at the fairgrounds?
The electricians were there prior to the cold weather, removing all the old stuff. Brickell Brothers unloaded some equipment. They were supposed to start this morning, but with the cold weather, so they'll be moving in to start the erection of the canopy. So the footers are ready to go. So moving forward.
Is Miller setting up for his auction? Is that this coming weekend or the
Yeah, he'll be
following?
setting up later this week, and there's a Miller auction at Recreation Building this weekend. So Friday, Saturday.
How's it coming along for new staff, or summer staff? We started that process.
Correct. We made some inquiries working with our summer supervisor, Jenna Mosier. Worked with her. She sent out some staff inquiries for our aquatic center. So got about 8 feedback already. So we'll be moving forward the next couple months with our summer staff. So right around the corner.
Yeah, right around the corner from Illinois.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you.
Public Works and Utilities.
Good evening.
Hey, Kurt.
Street Department, we're working on the remodeling of the airport flight shack. It's come along nicely. I did tell you I wasn't going to talk about trees anymore, but I am going to throw one more out there. We did take down 15 trees in Butts Park. Most of those were very mature size. So what we do with those to repurpose them is we haul them out to Jeff Jarrett. He has a sawmill, and then he cuts them up, and then they get dried, and the school uses it for their woodworking classes. We've been doing this for quite some time. We do get some black walnut, different species. So it's a very good project that I'd like to get out there and promote. tell people what we're doing instead of just whacking these trees down and getting kind of the bad rap on that. We do have one employee on COVID issues. Our grader is down currently. And I'd like to remind everybody, driving around town, drive slowly. Our traditional methods for using the salt that we have and even our hot salt are working during these cold snaps. So we did go out and we have sanded quite a large portion of the town. And until that cold weather breaks, we're going to have some what I would consider not the norm out there for streets. People in town are used to them being bare for the most part. But between that, the grader, just the temperature in general, you need to bear with us until get that sunshine and warm temperatures out.
So we're gonna look for a lot of slush when it breaks.
Yeah, a lot. We'll be back out plowing it into your driveways again. You're gonna have to deal with it there. So there's gonna be a lot of give and take here in the next time frame. You know, we're gonna get some more snow here on Thursday too, I believe. So it's just, you know, working together. Take a lot of phone calls, take a lot of heat on this, but it's just the way it is, and we'll get through it and get back to spring hopefully soon. Sewer department crews are out TVing those areas that are scheduled for replacement in the next 5-year plan. Otherwise, operations are pretty well normal. And we continue to separate with no COVID issues at the sewer plant. Water department on Thursday, 1/28. We did have our first water main break. This was located out between North Quick Trip truck stop and McDonald's. Also, Econo Lodge was affected by this. All businesses were out of water for roughly 4.5 to 5 hours, from 3:30 to 8 o'clock that night. We did have Gerke Excavating come in, and thankfully they were on site. We had to have Oakdale Electric there to hold up a transformer. It was basically hanging right on the edge of the hole. Probably one of the worst leaks that I've seen in town so far as everything going on and on the surface, and then the businesses obviously that were impacted. We also did have another water main. We were helping Bambox to correct a leak that they had, and ended up being inside their building, but we did support them and got them back online as quickly as possible. Well 12 is temporarily offline due to an electric motor with a bearing going out, so that'll be pulled out shortly and sent in for repairs. The utilities, I just wanted to throw this out there. Utilities to date have recovered $19,270. This is on our quarterly reports for 9/41, and this is all due to COVID. It's a retention credit, and it's related to Medicare tax and qualified healthcare insurance premiums or expenses, excuse me. And the Lake Committee next meeting is scheduled for 3/18, 5 o'clock. And I'd like to invite everybody to the fishery this Saturday at Lake Toma, sponsored by Toma Warren Sportsman's Alliance. Any questions?
The EG to gondola reconstruction, has that timetable been changed?
It's still open. It has not been pinpointed. We're still shooting for 2023. The engineering will be starting very shortly, basically in the spring, once the weather breaks. The county is open to when that takes place. The grant money that we received has a horizon on it. That 2023 or 2024 would fall well within that time frame to use that money.
Any other questions, Kurt?
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you.
Chief? Fire department, Mary ambulance?
Good evening, everyone. Let's see here. Tacoma Fire Department has 33 members on the roster. I had a couple firefighters resign, as I talked to you guys about last fall. Kind of going through performing evaluations, and several folks were just not able to commit the time, so I'm trying to take care of that first, and then I got a bunch of new hires that I'll be putting on here. So I do want to thank Mike Herricks and Travis Cranda for the time that they did give us to the city. The training we did last month was we had a night of cleanup at both stations. We like to do whatever we can do to keep our stations clean and safe and organized as much as possible. We also had all our annual safety trainings on an evening. Spent a number of times down to the Lake Toma Center with Mr. Dippin, the old hospital, the old Toma Memorial. He's getting ready for his state inspections, and things are moving forward down there for his CBRF home. So I've been putting in some time down there. We had 17 calls of service in January, no structure fires. Been very busy. If you look at my list of log items here, I'm just going to highlight a couple of them quick. Been working on my annual report. I will have that prepared for March, so I'll have more information at that point for the year end for 2020. Just want to take a second and talk about our 150th celebration. You're going to start hearing a little bit more and more about this. We're quite excited about this. The date is out now, August 28th. Tina's not here to thank, but she's been a great asset of helping get this going and promoting it, and she's going to help me continue to advertise it and get it out into the public. But I can tell you that I've had interest from a lot of interest from the state of Wisconsin. And a week ago, Tuesday night, I was talking to a gentleman on the phone from New York, and he's got a team of horses and a wagon that he wants to bring, an 1855 steamer wagon. So we're going to have a fire truck parade, and I'm hoping to get a bunch of antique type equipment for the parade. And then we're going to do a show out to the fairgrounds afterward, along with some other items that will be announced here shortly. So quite excited about that. Started the process for the deputy fire chief position that's been posted. Going through those applications currently. Had approximately, it was almost 40 applicants. Weeded it down to about probably mid-20s right now. Going to be setting up some phone interviews with those folks, trying to get it down a little bit more to around 10 or 12. And then the Police and Fire Commission will interview that down. Actually, I'm going to have a bunch of area fire chiefs that will interview them and get it down to about 2 or 3, and then the Police and Fire Commission will interview those. So takes a little bit of time, but we're getting there. So a lot of people to go across there and talk to. So met with the American Red Cross. We got 50 smoke detectors coming from their Wisconsin State program. I had 150 a couple years ago, and we try to target the less fortunate, the elderly. So if you know somebody in need of help, point in my direction, we'll definitely get them set up. So, any questions on the fire side of things?
The applicants, most of them have EMS training also?
Negative. I would say probably 20%. It's really surprising that the draw of people that applied for this position. I got a fire chief from the Philippines. I got a fire chief from California. I got a fire chief from Katy, Texas. I got a fire chief from West Virginia, Idaho, 5 fire chiefs from Illinois, fire chiefs. I'm not sure why they want to come to Toma, Wisconsin when it's 31 below zero out, like it was yesterday morning, but, so those are some of the questions I'm gonna be performing over the phone interview is like, why do you want to come to Toma, Wisconsin? And I have had a number of, I'm glad you asked this. I've had a number of people call me, just like I had a gentleman call me from Monroe, Wisconsin, and he's like, can you tell me a little bit more about the job? And we talked about it. He's like, not interested. He's more interested in just the administrative things. I'm looking for that person that's going to go out and do inspections, that's going to go to the schools, that's going to be responding to calls, still doing the administrative things, hopefully cross over and do the medical side of things, and we'll see where it goes from there. But in that, I think that's what I'm going to find with a number of these chiefs that applied. I think they just, I'm not sure what they're looking for, so I'm just trying to sort that out, so. But thanks for asking. Any other questions? As for the Toma Area Ambulance Service, we're currently staffed with 2 ambulances. That means we're at 4 on a shift. You guys approved the 3 extra positions, which as soon as I get the deputy chief hired, then we're going to roll right into that. We did have 2 members resign. Full-time paramedic Heather Daly resigned her position, and part-time EMT Christina Miller also resigned her position. She was in school, and she had another career path in mind, and we knew this was coming. So with that said, we hired Stacy Frost as a full-time EMT position. And we also welcome Katie Harper. She's a part-time EMT to the service. So we got 5 employees currently in field training. They're all EMTs. Like I said, we will be hopefully within the next couple of months starting to fill those 3 other full-time positions. So in my report here, as for the COVID update, I said that most of the employees had their first vaccination shots. They actually last Thursday night during the snowstorm just had their second shot. So that's good to hear. As for the VA and billing, the VA a 3 weeks ago hired a new gentleman that is in charge of their billing, and he's got a really good grip on what's going on and what our problems were, and he's correcting things. We've seen continual increase in revenue coming in over the last couple of weeks since he's been here. He's solving the problems, and I got a good feel for where we're going here. So hopefully we get this corrected. Christie's actually, the bookkeeper, Christie's actually allowed to, or is able to now electronically file, which we were never able to do. So it's saving her time. It's a little bit more convenient, a better process. So things are getting better. As for the building update, continue to work with Keller. Brad and I have been working very closely on a number of topics and items that will be coming up later. And Keller's been here once, and we've had a couple virtual meetings with them, and continuing to push that project forward here. As for vehicles, we had a problem on 266. Thought it was an inverter. I hunted down the manufacturer, one of their electrical gurus, I guess, per se, and he advised a couple of quick fixes, and one of my firefighters is actually an electrical engineer, Brad Retzloff, and him and I went down last Wednesday night, tore the truck apart and replaced some parts, and believe he's got it fixed. So we'll keep an eye on it and see where we go from there. But once again, you guys hear me talk about Brad Retzloff, or Rob Larkin quite often. Them guys save us so much money, because if I would have had to take and send somebody to the cities with this truck, not only the miles, it would have sat up there for a couple of days, if it would have been out of service. The rates that they charge to fix this stuff, and we basically got it for nothing, folks. So
Much appreciated.
They're-
The other talent that they have.
it is, and it's great having, a a little bit of everybody's specialty on these departments because, you know, you can lean on somebody for help if you need it. So other than that, it's just been, you know, business as usual, dealing with the challenges of the job, learning it, getting the IT stuff converted over. That'll be a long process. We're still working on that. We did have 239 calls in January, so the numbers were continuing to be up. You know, Julia just gave me the numbers tonight for the write-offs for 2020, and it was down considerably. So we got some nice numbers going into the bank here from 2020, and I'll present that, like I said, next month. So other than that, anybody got any questions?
Sounds good. Moving
Uh,
on.
question, Tim,
Yes, sir.
how'd you make out with the town of Toma?
How did we make out with the Toma? We will have another discussion later with that. Okay.
Okay,
We opted to go another direction. So we'll discuss later. Thank you.
Okay. Police department, chief, are you on? You're not here?
Julie's here.
Yep, we'll go back to the treasurer then, Julia?
I'm sorry, I got stuck by the Amtrak. I got there right when it stopped, so I apologize. Did you pass the cash and investment report?
No, we just did this.
Okay, so that's December's report. January's is not here just because of the timing. I finished it up today, but it was too late to get into the packet. Any questions about the cash and investment report? And we finished our last installment of taxes, our first January installment of taxes. The grace period ended on Friday, so we will be settling with the county on this coming week. We have to pay the school districts and the tech school and the Lake District and everybody by the 20th of February. So that is on our list to do this week. And then I have an announcement. I was offered a job at the Village of Clover, and I am going to take it. It's a really good opportunity for me as it's a larger community. Also, my grandkids live there and my son lives there and my parents live there, and it just feels like the right thing to do at this point in our life. So Plover, Wisconsin,
Oh, okay.
up by Stevens Point.
Yeah.
So it's, I gave Brad my notice. I told him about it on Friday, and we'll be here through March 5th and starting there on March 8th unless something changes there, but that's the tentative plan anyway. So 23, yeah, 23 years, but I was here on February 2nd. But this just fell in my lap. They called me, so I just feel like I'm supposed to do it. Yes, yes. Yes, they do. That's the truth.
Good luck at your new job, Julie. I have a question though, of the taxes that we
Mhm.
do on January 31st, about what percentage were paid?
I can't tell you for absolute sure, but the end of December, we were at 30% already. So I'm thinking probably 55% complete. Usually we're at least half. I think we're a little further than that this year.
And on that, I think it's a great question, Councilmember Garrington. That is, you collect taxes here 4 times a year, is that correct?
That is correct.
I come from a community and many communities only collect it once and then they let the county collect it, the remaining payment. I mean, I just wanted to put
Well,
that on your radar.
it's easier on the residents to make the 4 payments.
Correct. It is easier on the residents. However, as she just said, we had 30% at December. I'm sure we're probably close to that 50% mark anyways. It's just something to look at that we're going to take a closer peek at.
Now in Milwaukee, they pay 10 payments a year.
Wow. And the,
Thank you.
the caveat to paying taxes, yes, it's a benefit to our constituents here that they can come in and pay on 4 installments. It makes it easier, especially for the elderly. The other thing is that if people are delinquent, we get to collect that interest, which sometimes is between up to $20,000 a year. So that is one of the benefits, but it's also, it's a major expense as far as our office to collect, payroll expense. So there are ups and downs to it. So anything else?
Any other questions, Joanne? Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you.
Yeah, can we get a motion to accept the treasurer's report from December?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on. Special event outdoor cabaret license application for the Greater Tacoma Area Chamber of Commerce. I
You-
see the dates there for their downtown Thursday night.
You want them one at a time or all 6 of them at once?
I would think we could do all 6 for the date. The dates you see in there, July 1st, July 8th, July 15th, July 29th, August 5th, and August 12th, 2021.
Motion to approve is
read.
We have a motion to approve this read. Is there a second?
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Special beer and wine permit applicant for the Tacoma Baseball Club Incorporated.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a Class A liquor license application for Tacoma Mini Mart LLC.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We have a second-hand article dealer license application for Steel Needle Welding and Creation.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Lamont made the motion.
No.
Richard made the motion.
One second.
I knew it was one of you two. You did something. I was reading ahead and put a Richard in there. You're welcome. We have number 9, taxi cab driver's license appeal for Christopher Matthew. And I think you're on the line, Mr. Matthews. I think they're muted. Are you guys muted? Oops. Mr. Matthews, can you hear us?
Sean, can you confirm you can still hear us?
I can hear you.
You guys might be on mute, Mr. Matthews.
I think we can see them.
Did he say why or the paperwork is what this paperwork is in the private? Oh, so it's all in my box. Oh, Unicode. I have it in Acrobat. I'm gonna put it in Unicode.
Well, can they hear us? Can you signal if you can hear us?
You nod up and down or make it, you can hear us. We cannot hear you, so you've got something wrong with your microphone. Typically in your bottom left corner by your mute button, there's gonna be a little arrow up. That's gonna, if you click that arrow up, it's gonna choose your microphone source. You may need to change your microphone source.
Maybe they can call in just on the
Do you have
phone.
I'm not sure if you're working with a phone. Can you just call the number and dial in? Okay, you want to go ahead? Do you have the paperwork with the phone number so you know what to dial? Okay, we'll give you a second to call in.
You want to move ahead on a couple of things?
Yeah, we'll give them a minute or two here.
Next one's pretty routine.
There we go.
We have another session. That was muted.
And I found, but I couldn't find it. Well, it was on the other packet. Yep, it finally downloaded. Thank you. It just takes forever. Mr. Matthews, are you there? Do we want to move forward then until he calls? Table this?
Hello?
Now we hear you.
Hello? Mr. Matthews?
Okay, we had some technical difficulties with my phone.
Okay. So. What I got here. Did you want to say anything, Mr. Matthews, in regards to this application?
Yeah, I had done some bad stuff when I was age 18, and I had verbally, that's what I'm assuming this is about. I did my time and I started anew. I did all I had to do to do myself better. I'm just looking to have a second chance at employment. I mean, a decent employment other than what I normally go through. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes?
This is Ted Barnes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Uh,
Mr. Barnes.
I'm the supervisor here in Toma for Running Inc. And Mr. Matthews passed our insurance. He passed our background check. We saw we had some items in his background, but they were in the past. And he passed our drug screen. And myself and Running Inc. We're all for giving someone a second chance. I think he's kind of proven that he's on the right track. And if Running Inc. is more willing to give him a job, I hope the city would provide him the taxi cab license.
Okay. Is there any questions?
What was the nature of his history as far as with the law enforcement?
I was at the age of 18. Are you there?
Yes.
I was at the age of 18. I committed a crime of armed robbery, and I did 4 years in prison and 4 years on probation. And while I was in prison, when I told myself that when I got released on probation, I would never get in serious trouble like that ever again. And on probation, I never did. I did my time, and I've been trying to better myself since then.
Mr. Matthews, what was your weapon? Alderman Kiefer here.
It was a toy dart gun.
What was that again?
It was a toy dart gun.
A toy dart gun? Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
it looked like a real gun, but it was a dart gun.
And Alderman, it's in the packet under Muni code?
Mhm.
Into the.
In the
private
closed
packet-
session.
In the closed private session,
Right.
private packet as far as the information from Chief Nicholson?
Mr. Matthew, Alderman Kiefer again. It just seems like even though that was in the past, your record continues forward periodically throughout your life until 2019.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like you really cleaned it up permanently. What am I missing? here?
I'm still struggling, or I was still struggling with small stuff like disorderly conduct, misdemeanor, damage to property. But the one stuff that got charged for 2019, that was something that happened inside the county jail where I was harassed by other inmates. And out of my anger, I broke the TV remote. But that is, like you said, that's my anger, and I've gotten help with that, and I've been getting medication to help with my mood swings. I'm trying to better myself. I mean, I'm thinking if I was actually working, I'd keep. Work keeps me out of trouble. I've worked, I've never gotten in trouble, and that's what I'd like to do. Is I'd like to try for a job that I think that I could excel at, and that would help me keep me straight instead of going off track.
Now, you do know, working in a cab, you work with very different personalities and different types of people. That is somebody going to trigger you and you get upset in driving your vehicle?
No. I've found ways to deal with that. I just hold it all in, let it go, and just agree with them. When I was riding with Ted for training, we've had somebody in there that was disagreeing with me with what I was saying about sports, and he was getting upset about it, and I could see it and he was trying to, I don't know if he was trying to nag me or not, but I just kept agreeing with him. I just let him think that he was right and I was wrong, and that his opinion is the only thing that mattered. I wasn't trying to let him know that it was getting to me and I wasn't going to blow me up. I was ignoring it.
Okay. Is there any other questions?
That's what I
or-
train that's what I train all the drivers to basically do. Instead of conflict in the cab, is it's better to agree with the customer and just let it go.
Okay, thank you.
Sure,
Alder-
I'll ask a question here real quick. I'm sorry, Sean. You go ahead first and I'll jump in after you.
Are
Sean?
you sure?
Yeah, go for it.
Just a question. If the council was to approve your license, how can you reassure us or the people that are sitting up here that these issues will not be a problem going forward? That your actions will not be a liability?
I don't know how to answer that. I was gonna say my word, it doesn't really mean stuff, but I mean, if there was some way I could prove it to you guys, I would. I would ask you guys, if I do get hired, whether there's something you'd like me to improve on to prove that it's not gonna happen.
I get questions every day from customers, complaints and anything else that it's back to our dispatch. And I handle them and I talk to all the drivers about them. So I'll be keeping track with Christopher as much as I do every other driver to make sure it is on the right path.
Well, then on that note, what type of discipline do you give them? One chance, two chances? Do you let them go if there's a problem immediately? How do you handle situations where you have problems with your drivers?
Well, it would depend upon what the situation is. We have ways where we can terminate a person right on the spot. I myself, I like to talk to the people, see if we can get that straightened out first. That way, and if it happens a second time, then there's either suspension or firing. But it's better to work with the individual.
Mr. Barnes, do you have, and I'm not asking you to out any of your employees, but do you have any examples where you might have dealt with employees who have had something that has shown up in a background check beforehand and things have ended well? I know you mentioned you like to give second chances, so I'm just curious if this is something that you've dealt with before.
There's been minor things in a few of the drivers' background checks, which wasn't near as bad as Christopher's. That's all I can say. But the chief of police didn't see those as bad as Christopher's was. But I think he's been trying since 2019 to go in a straight path, and I think his job might help him out.
In that line of thought then, Mr. Matthew, I know you mentioned medication, but what sort of things have you done since you've kind of distanced yourself from these issues in the past to help you, to give yourself coping mechanisms or strategies to get past this? Is it just medication, or are you doing things like therapy or anything else like that?
I've seen therapy before, and I've talked to him, and I took in classes that I was in when I committed my crime that I was in prison for. I took in classes to cope with my anger and my cognitive thinking and choices and stuff, and to stop and think before I act, and what's going to cause, if I let this go any further, what's going to cause, maybe the outcome is going to be good for me, bad for me. What can I do better to not let it happen again? And I took in class for all that, and I tried to do that. There's certain things that, like I said in the past, I've gotten in trouble for that I let it get to me, but now I don't. I I try to just walk away, take a deep breath, and I find somebody I can trust I can talk to.
So you've taken classes on like anger management, conflict resolution, things like that?
Yes.
Okay, is there any other questions? Sure, go ahead, Brad, if you want to.
So depending on what this council would like to do, I would like to seek some legal advice if you would like to offer Mr. Matthews a license or even a probationary license. I know we've, working in Wisconsin, we've been able to do that with liquor licenses because of records and giving people that second chance, but saying they have to come back in 3 months to renew to see what's going on. But if that's something you'd consider for Mr. Matthews approving, I would recommend at least you consider the probationary if that is possible, and we should have that answer by tomorrow night from the city attorney. Just a thought.
Actually, Alderman Kiefer, that was my thought also. Can we do something that we can review in a period of time and have, is it Mr. Barnes, the boss, that come back to us and see if everything's going right? If he's willing to take the risk, we've given people chances here in this body. We're very open-minded to that. I'm just concerned that the track record it's just not clean for any extended period of time. And disorderly conduct that are anger type things. And we're going to license you to work with the citizens of our community by yourself in isolated situations. And I'm apprehensive.
Yeah, this is where it would be nice if Chief were here to kind of bounce some of this off of, how bad does this look? You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Because I'm not sure we're fully prepared to look at a case record and make any determinations in that way. But I like the idea of a temporary, of a probationary sort of license. Yeah, I share your same concerns, Lamont, that you were in a one-on-one situation and if something happens, but on the other end, the things that you'd expect them to do, like go to therapy, take anger management and that sort of thing, medication would be what you'd expect, and he's done that. So.
And as running Inc., we do have a probationary period for all our employees of I check it at 3 months and 6 months. So I can report back to the committee or the board every 3 months myself.
Right, well, on this case, I would definitely want a report every 3 months to see where we're at for the first year, if it goes any further. Do we want to wait to see what we can hear from Penny by tomorrow and make a decision tomorrow night?
Sounds good
Does
to me.
that sound?
I think you might have to check with the chief of police probably on some of the legalities as far as the licensing, as far as our point, whether it's, I think it's an annual license that's issued. So the chief might be able to
It
tell
is
you
an
more on
annual.
that.
It would be
It
an
is an
annual
annual-
license.
It is an annual license, but I could report every 3 months to you if that would work.
Right, yeah, it'd be a yearly license, but you'd have to report every 3 months. And at any time, we could revoke it. I would
Right.
like to know from the attorney if this is in our way of legalities, if we can legally do that. If you guys still want to consider that, find out our options first.
Because we wouldn't make the final decision until tomorrow night
Tomorrow night
anyway. This is just a recommendation to the council. So I think we need that information. And I mean, as you can see, we're leaning towards doing that for you. So, but
And I'm
with
all with it.
apprehension.
I'm all with it. If it can get approved, I'll do the 3 month probation and check in and report everything. My boss to you guys.
So then we want to table it till tomorrow night and then we can find out.
Postpone?
Postpone and table it. Postpone it till tomorrow night till we find out.
To
from
gather
the
further
attorney.
information on the
And
legal.
you'll get that information that we can check? Okay, all those in. Do we have
I'll make a motion to do
postpone
that.
it?
Postpone.
And a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to postpone this till tomorrow night so we can get some more information, Mr. Matthews. All those in
Yep.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll try to get our phones working better for tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice night.
Yeah,
We
you
have a
too.
conditional use permit for Mark Traumer.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have a question, Alderman Zabinski for Shane. With that sign hanging over the sidewalk, does that fall into, I don't know how you want to word it, for the proper signage that we can put up for business?
It meets our municipal ordinance for sign regulations, and it has been reviewed by the LRPC for the downtown design standards.
Okay.
It's met both those requirements.
So it's met both those requirements. Is this the sign that's up already? Okay. I drove by today and I went, it's already there. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
It looks nice there.
Yes. I just let, we talked.
No, I've already seen
All
it.
those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Presentation on transportation utility with Rukert and Milky and study proposal. Did I say that right? Close enough.
I think we got it. So council, first off, I want to correct my administrative report. My grammar is not the greatest, and I think I've misused a word. Have consulted is a better word, hopefully, with Kirk about this. He is an interest, not that he's on board with it. So I just wanted to make that clear first off. And it's my understanding that this has possibly been briefly discussed at other times with this council, or at least the league has talked about this. So they will be here tomorrow for the presentation of what their study will entail. I just received the proposal today for this to be completed, and I think it's about 15,500. If I remember, 15,800, excuse me. I think I gave that to you in your positions at your seats tonight. So they will present on all it entails, probably very briefly. I think I've received 5 slides that they're going to show you tomorrow, and that should have been part of that little packet that you received also. And then answer any questions you might have. Part of your packets had the entire presentation they did last year that I saw was another community. And I think it's a great opportunity for the city to raise revenues. And I think that was one of the things we talked about. One thing they mentioned in here, this would also eliminate the need for bonding and then special assessment of properties. Now, there are some properties that have already been special assessed. They may have some payment period left. So special districts would be created for those areas. And as soon as they're done repaid with that, then it would be part of the utility, I think is how they set it up. These would be better questions for these individuals. As you can see, if you have the opportunity to look through their proposals and presentations, they have already assisted some communities in Wisconsin with this potential utility.
Okay, so nothing to act.
So
on
Administrator
now.
Hanson, I'm hoping that we're going to have some time to digest this. I'm hoping just because we have their proposal and a dollar amount that tomorrow night, we're not going to get asked to finalize any request, because I would like to talk to our department heads and see, I mean, this is not a new idea. I've read about it in the leagues, but that's all. And for us to grasp all this and kind of feel it out for our community and how we would look into how we're going to handle it business wise and who's going to do the work and what department. I mean, it seems to me to be a lot, and this is going to take some time. This isn't just going to happen. I'm not comfortable anyway with it happening probably for several months.
Sure. Obviously, they have recommended that this will take a year. This is about a year process. Not only educating, but to see if you really want to accept it. Now, of course, we're going to ask you for an approval on it, yes. But whenever I ask for an approval on the first night, I'm not expecting your approval. Many times the council says we're going to move this, postpone it to the following month because they want to, or the following meeting because they want some time to digest. So I understand that.
Yep. Just so understanding, and that's where I'm coming from, and
Yes.
voicing the opinion of
This
some
is-
other council members.
Yes, and this is also made very clear to Rupert Milkie that I can't guarantee anything. I'm just a city administrator. So,
Yep. Okay, just so we're all on that page, or at least you and I are on that page, and I can't speak for everyone else.
Then we're just moving forward with that. There's nothing to go ahead on that.
that's
Uh,
just informative. Yes.
Just
ma'am.
information, and there'll be more tomorrow night.
Yes, ma'am.
The complete the hotel comprehensive study for economic development purposes.
Yes, thank you again, council members. If you recall, we mentioned that we had 2 hotels that are interested, looking at the city of Toma. For building a hotel, one is interested in TID 10, which is down by the hospital. The other is interested in both locations of TID 10 and potentially here in downtown. So the one interested in both locations did conduct a site visit last Thursday, and Tina Thompson from the chamber was able to meet with me in this hotel. I always like to do that when possible, just because I don't want you to think that I'm just giving you information that's maybe not true. A lot of times in economic development, you don't get all the details because of confidentiality purposes. But I wish she was here to confirm that, yes, we did meet with that hotel. Unfortunately, she's not. She will probably be here tomorrow. So if you have any, absolutely, if you have any questions or concerns with that. Neither hotel are anticipated to be here. They both want, before they make a decision to appear here, obviously look at the hotel study before they are able to make a good decision. I do recommend, if you move forward with this on this one, that basically you would select, I cannot remember, but I think it was the second one for $9,000. Just because they have experienced consultants that have worked for hotels within the last 10 years. The others have been out for some time. And the other individual, he has multiple chargers for different things, whereas the one I'm recommending will actually include both sites, whereas the other one will charge extra to do another site. So, and then the other place is also concerned, no real concerns. I'm sure all these consultants will be really good, but have not had the experience, as far as I know, as I could tell, within a hotel within the last 10 years. And again, this is just information tonight. You'll see the opportunities tomorrow. And if you approve it, we can get rolling on that study. Otherwise, obviously, your approval we be seeking on, just like the other one, March 16th.
Okay.
So I have a question. Why do we do this study and why don't they do this study?
That's a great question. If we do the study, we can use it for any hotel.
Okay.
If they do the study, it's theirs.
Proprietary.
Correct. So this gives us the opportunity to, like we've said, we've had 2 hotels on the hook, or not on the hook, not yet, putting the hook in front of them, if you will. That helps. And it also helps us to attract other hotels in the future. If, for instance, the study comes back and says you have room for 150 rooms, capacity, if you will, and you build 2 hotels and you still have 50, now you can use it for another hotel. Because I've worked with other cities that have done these for them, and then they want to acquire those studies. And why do they want to acquire the studies? Because then they own the study, and the city can't use it.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then we have it over time.
Exactly.
Since we're interested in doing this at some point.
Yes, and
So
the
we're
study.
owner.
Yes, and as we kind of discussed at the last month's meeting, this is going to be good for about 2 or 3 years. And
Okay, they honor them for.
The data
3
just
max?
gets so old, yeah, pretty much. The data gets so old that they want something more recent.
Okay.
And the last time you did one, which was not a comprehensive study, it was just kind of an overview, was back in 2016.
And one of these firms did that, correct?
Correct. The first one, HNS, I believe it is. Let me get to there, but there's
Is
a lot
there
of
three,
pages.
three different proposals?
There is. Let me get to that location here.
Yeah, it was H something.
HMI.
Yep.
HMI.
HMI is the first one. And again, they're the one that wanted to have so many different chargers.
And yet they have information on us in the first place, because they said it would just be an extension, I think, as I read somewhere down the line, an extension of the work that they had done before. You would think they would be.
Again, the data is so old that they didn't give
They
us
can't
that.
use it.
And the report they did is called what they titled a Field Research Overview Report. not a comprehensive study. So let me get to the other two, which they all like to send a lot of data about their experiences and everything.
Yeah.
And their people.
Yes. And you
My
try.
finger is sore from.
I know, I was
paging
just like,
today.
how many pages
Hours.
back?
Yes. It's not her fault. It's mine. I put them in there. It's my
Thank God
fault.
you're not getting hard copies. I was like, boy.
Well, here's the.
The other one's kind of like, I believe it's kind of a concord or something to that
Core
effect.
trees we've cut in this thing
Core,
for
yeah.
Core.
Yep.
Core index or something.
Core distinction. Group.
Cord, there we go. Thank you. That's the one that I would recommend. And then there's a third one right after that, and I don't have that available. But again, we'll be able to answer any further questions tomorrow. But having reviewed these, all three of them, and as you can tell, I didn't verbatim a lot of it. I was skipping
didn't
over their
memorize them
experience.
all?
No, I did not. Being very clear, I just went through what their itemized charges are if they had itemized. The other thing I like about the second one, Core, was that upfront they went half, so $4,500. But they were very specific in stipulating if we find that you don't have room for any hotel, we're going to come and let you know and provide you a report. We're not going to ask for the second half. The other ones didn't say that. They were just going to complete it all. Didn't matter. So that's another reason why I liked Core. So, and I do recommend them at this time. But again, if you're not ready, you want to look at it, all this information further, then that's totally acceptable as well.
Do we have money in the budget to be able to do a study like this?
It would be my recommendation that if you did this, because both locations at these current hotels are both in TIDS, it would be funded through the TIDS. And I think we should have some funds. If not now, we will have definitely next year. But I think we do have some, and I'm getting a nod from Julia. We have some funds in there.
Okay. Again, that's just the study. We not do anything.
Tomorrow night we'll have a
would-
presentation.
I would, if there is no presentation, but if you're ready to make it or you want more details tomorrow, I can ask any of these consultants to provide me further details. We do not have a presentation from.
Oh, there
any
is
of them.
nothing. No,
No.
they're not this. Okay.
Yep. So if you're ready to approve, great. Otherwise, if you want to postpone till March, that's acceptable as well.
Does anybody have a recommendation for what we want?
For the council for tomorrow
For the
night.
council for tomorrow night?
I would like to table that if we could until March.
Okay. So we want to postpone that,
Postpone till March?
ma'am.
That is,
Postpone till March?
yeah, that would be my recommendation.
So I got a motion for that.
And that will take as a motion to postpone the hotel until March. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Postponing until the March meeting, 16th? Is that the date?
Correct.
March 16th? The third week now, we'll be going into the third week. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to the resolution, tax incremental financing district city internal loan interest payments.
So, Council, I've had the opportunity to meet with MSA, the engineers that have created or assisted you in the plan creation for all three of your current TIDs. We had the opportunity to meet with them. They actually did recommend interest payments should be made for any internal loans. I also met with your current auditor. I'm going to miss him. Was it Larson, Clifton, and Allen, I believe it is. And they didn't have any issues with this. Talking with the city treasurer, Ms. Mann, she also said that in the past TIDs you've done this. Is that correct? If I'm speaking correctly, thank you. So this is not really anything new. You do have internal loans, and I think it was mentioned within those the resolution of how much of an internal debt you have. You would say that the majority is to utilities, and I'm sure that would be. I don't know if I'd get any argument from Kirk to pay interest on the over $2 million from one department.
Any particular reason why it wasn't in there just original?
You know, I
Oversight?
couldn't say it. It could have been oversight. I don't know why, but I
Did
don't think we
MSA
had
have
any,
any comment on that?
I don't think we had any balance of a debt until 19 from the general fund. Is that correct, Kirk?
I think the reason why it was, how it evolved was, went into the forming of TID. We didn't really see this as a real moneymaker. So we weren't looking for projects to be put in there. MSA did include the language to have projects like this sewer project, but that wasn't thrown in there because we knew we weren't gonna have the funds right away, but now, the donor kids come on, so it makes sense to pay this back, and it really wasn't in the ROI to start with.
And kind of like, thank you, Kirk, to kind of continue on that process, there are some other things that were not in your TID plans we've discovered. And so we're looking at amending the TIDs, all three of them, because you can use it if you have the language in there to help with equipment that's necessary for the TID and so forth, depending on how you do that. Not to mention you can have it for assisting with parks, assisting with stormwater, but you have to have the language in there. And if you don't have the language in there, you can't do that. So this is something I know we do on the northern end of TID 8, do have some concerns with standing water at some high events. So not always, but maybe that's something we can look at and help with that kind of funding. But that's at a future date. So this is just kind of one of the first steps we can. This will help, again, increasing finances for the city. As you can tell, it does go to the general fund as well. We can also possibly pay off some of this debt to the general fund as soon as possible. These are just interest payments. They're not any principal payments. One thing we're going to talk about as part of that TID amendment is establishing some sort of priority. So the first priority is paying off any bonds and interest, so we do not default. Second priority would be for interest payments, and third priority would be any projects that would improve the TID district. And then the fourth would be paying off principal to the internal loans. Again, those are just my recommendations. That depends on what the planning and zoning decides. And we did have had a discussion with planning and zoning already about this, looking at it, and also what the joint review board would allow.
With paying off the internal loans, would that improve our bond rating or our ability to borrow?
Since the debt, I'm not a good bond person, I cannot answer it, but since the debt to the general fund is so low, I don't think it would affect that at all. These are, again, internal loans, so basically it's an asset from one fund to another. Now I can't think of the terminology. One it's an asset, the other it's a liability. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Correct.
So we're looking at an interest rate of 3.5%?
Yes. That was basically calculated as we looked at the state trust fund. And right now for an 11 to 20-year loan, it's at 4%. And a 10-year loan is at 3%. So we thought in the middle would be good. We're not just pulling this. We wanted to be a little less because this will probably take about 20 years to pay off, or at least more, greater than 10. And every year you can change that interest rate if you feel, or you can leave it at 3.5%.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the transfer. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Resolution COVID-19 vacation coverage buyback.
Council, talking with the city attorney about this one specifically, so we had, I believe I left one at your seats regarding that. She advised that you have done this at the end of 2019, but at the end of 2019, you had a lot of people not taking their vacations for whatever reason. However, the items I've been told is that a lot of people could not take their vacation due to COVID travel restrictions and or because they were declared essential workers. So I know that again, 2019 you did it one time only, but that was before everybody knew that this pandemic was going to come around and we were going to have so many restrictions. So what is happening now is individuals, and it's kind of put in the language in the resolution that individuals are either at the risk of losing a vacation, so they have to take a day of vacation here or there, and then to cover those shifts, 80% of the time is one department director advised me is that 80% of the time they have to find somebody then on overtime. So if we just gave everybody the opportunity to take up to a week, they could take less of pay, whether they're at the maximum or not. They're just giving everybody extra time to pay, be able to take that pay. This could alleviate some of that. I don't want to, make this offer routinely and numerous times throughout this year. That's why I also put a time on it that they need to request it by April 1st. And so the resolution I had before you with a highlighted portion where it says now therefore be resolved, the change that Penny had recommended, and I'll read that for you. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Tacoma Council agrees and approves a one-time benefit for all permanent full-time employees for up to 40 hours of vacation time at their regular rate of compensation, which must be completed no later than April 1st, 2020. 2021. That should be 2021. My apologies. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, we have some department heads here. Is that discussed in your meetings, and is that where you, consensus of where you came from? Kurt, Joe, Tim?
Don't all speak at once.
I can tell you that this is pretty common in the private sector, at least, especially right now. I can tell you there's been a lot of companies in the local area anyway who do offer this, and especially right now because it has affected employees, and that's a benefit for them. Not only that, but it's also a boon for the city to not pay overtime on those hours. So it's not uncommon.
And I don't foresee us getting out of this till summer, if we're lucky, that we need to think about how are we going to get these employees off? What can we do? I mean, how about, do we have an idea how many employees that it might include?
I'm not for sure, but there's a fair number of employees that are pushing and have to take a day off like every month, every 2 weeks even.
Right. And, allowing these, pushing them out to have, I mean, it'd be great to have the time off, but I don't foresee it happening any sooner than later. And having one off and making 2 or 3 people get overtime doesn't make good sense to me that we're paying overtime for all these people.
And if the employee doesn't like it, they don't have to opt into it. They can
Right.
take the time off.
Right. Yeah, because you've got till April 1st that they have to make that, April 1st to make that decision, 2021.
I would very much in favor of this for now, but what I'd like to see in the future is to look at employees with 3 or more weeks of vacation to have the option to sell those back to the city if they wished. It would drastically reduce some of our overtime.
And that's a great opportunity to segue into the personal handbook. Maybe that's something you would consider to add to that. And that's something we are reviewing, the city attorney and myself.
I know where I worked.
And I know Becky's also had some input there.
I know where I worked before, anybody that they could sell back half of their vacation. And a lot of employees did.
Yeah, that or sick leave. I know we've done that too before, donated towards somebody who has to have excess time off, but something to look at when you guys are doing that, definitely. Okay, so.
So again, we have 3 department heads here. Did anybody have a comment on this?
It was discussed in the department head meetings. I think each department has its own challenges with this. Our department is kind of on that border where we maybe have, I'm just kind of guessing, 8 people that are kind of pushing that limit. But I think chief has bigger issues, less opportunities maybe for his staff to take that time off for whatever reason. But
So what's your opinion of this one time buyback? Do you have an opinion of the one-time buyback?
I do what I rather keep myself.
Joe?
Our department's small enough that doesn't really, it's not really affecting our department one way or another.
Do you have you don't have an opinion?
I pretty much feel the same way. I mean, I don't have that many employees that it's not gonna affect.
And if the employee doesn't like it, they don't have to take it. They can take the
Well, I'm just
time
curious
off.
if the department heads like it or not. It doesn't seem to be a popular thing, I guess, because no one said they were for it, so.
Well,
I'm-
I would think the department heads would like it because they'd have less time off positions vacant shifts that they have to fill.
I would too,
Somebody's
but
on
that's
vacation.
not the answer I'm getting, so.
Right, but then, in this
That's-
resolution, it says that the employee they have the option, they don't have
Well, I
to.
know that.
So,
Well, I know it's not
I
mandatory
mean-
whatsoever. No, I'm just.
I know, I agree.
Feel out
We
one of
need to
my
know.
things is to get the department heads on board with these, when we
Well,
do
I'm-
policy things like this, I like to see them come up through the staff meetings and with the administrator and the clerk and have them discussed, and that be the consensus of that group to come up through. And so I'm just feeling that out to see if that is now happening since we have a new regime in town. And
You're the regime. Brad, you're the regime.
well,
It'll be
two
even
of them.
newer. It'll
There's
be
two
even
of them.
newer in a couple of weeks.
And so I was just curious
Yeah, oh, no, it's.
if
there's
that's
many
what's
ways you can
happening
put it,
and
So.
I mean, I can speak as a department head. I can tell you that it doesn't affect my department directly, but I feel like it's a nice option to offer employees. I'm for it. If you want to know my opinion on it, I guess, as a manager, then yes, I think we should allow that, at least in this particular scenario, and consider it in the future for those who have significant amounts of vacation in the future in the handbook, just like Councilman Yerington had. That's, if you want to know from a department.
I'll be
head.
frank, and I'm also for it too personally, but I don't know if the correct word is disappointed, but am surprised that with 3 department heads here, they didn't say, yes, it's a good one-time plan. So I'm surprised.
But Mont, you have more than 3.
Okay, 4.
Becky's a department head, and 2/3 of my department are at the top. So it would be a benefit to us because we can't take the time off. We're losing it. We're having to make sure we take a day off when we really can't afford to take a day off.
That's unfortunate, and I voiced my opinion to you about that, but I don't agree that you should be put in that position, but I can't change that.
Certain positions, you don't have someone else that can fill in and do your job for you. It's not like a truck driver per se, or an officer where there's many of them. Some of our positions, there's only one person doing the job, so you have, if you're
Okay.
very busy, you can't afford to take the time to take your vacation when we're in the situation we're in right now.
And I stand corrected that it's 2/5 and not 3 and 0.
Well, hopefully we can,
Against it, Lamont, I just saying, it
doesn't affect you.
Doesn't affect, yeah.
Doesn't
Talk
affect
about
them.
Department head and, it's not affecting us,
It doesn't matter one way or the other.
Yeah, well, I don't see that it's too, I don't.
Right, they just,
We talked about it, so it wasn't like.
Right.
So it just-
No, I just asked if you had an opinion on it and you're not for it. You didn't say, yes, I'm glad that we're giving our employees an opportunity to do that. I did not hear that.
Yeah, but he's also not against it either. Yeah, he
Yeah,
didn't
he's
say
not
this is
against
the
it.
worst one-time decision we've ever made.
But I hate to see the employees lose their vacation because they have over. I would rather them get
Correct.
compensated for it at this
Right.
point, because
And it's-
unfortunately COVID happened, and I think the cities did the best that they could with the situation, and the employees did the best that they could and to keep the city running. So,
I made my point.
You made your point, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. So moving forward then, do we have a motion?
You have one on the floor.
And a second.
And a second, all right.
See, when we start talking like that, I forget what even did. I gotta
For
read.
discussion, you haven't called for a vote.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor in a second. No other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Missed the resolution to assign the crossing guard duties to the Toma Area School District.
Council, I just wanted to get on here. There we go. Council, I just wanted to apologize. I should have put a little bit better verbiage based on the resolution we have before you. It's not that we want to assign at this time. It's like we were trying to move to the opportunity to possibly assign. Right now, we do not have a code or an ordinance in the municipal code that allows us, but there is a state statute that gives us that authority. And then if you wanted to assign crossing guards to the school district, you may. And that's not what we're asking here. In fact, I just had an email this morning, I believe it was, from Deputy Chief. Again, they're both out. They're aware of it. It was them that brought this to my attention. And I kind of put a lot of stuff in there that's really kind of the details behind it. Once you have the ordinance, you can then adopt the resolution requiring the school to take that authority. Right now, it's not that we're asking to do that. We just want to open the conversation. And the reason we're here to kind of get that permission to talk, we can probably do that at a staff level, is we're in a small town. And I've been through this before with crossing guards. I also know that when you start talking about giving the school something that they really don't want, they start calling you all and saying, what is Brad doing? This is why we have it before you. The thing is, he advised it takes about $15,000 to $20,000. The school does not contribute. I have heard the argument before that, well, it's only assisting citizens' kids. And my counter to that is, how many people do you know from townships that pick up their kids are parked on the same side as a school? You don't. There's no factual data on it. In fact, normally school buses are on that side. So in essence, that's an untrue statement. But we want to start the conversation with them. Is there some other way we can work this together? Because why taxing this small little area known as the city of Toma that benefits this big area known as the school district of Toma area? Does that make sense? Not to mention, when we have a shortage, our officers, and it is mentioned in the resolution, and this was provided to me by the chief and Scott, is that their officers have to act as a crossing guard when we don't have enough staff. We're taking the capability of them being able to respond to an emergency situation and delaying that response, number one. It's probably the most important. Number two, they can't really enforce traffic laws around the school now because they're stuck crossing guard. Whereas a school has multiple people that can actually fill in this role, whatever their role is currently. And so that's kind of why we want to open this conversation at least. I've already been in touch, and like I've told my department directors, I don't like to throw them under the bus. I hope they don't throw me under the bus. Sometimes I make the mistake, or a council member asks me a question I'm not ready for, and I really don't want to say it because I haven't argued or have that discussion with department directors, but I have to answer it. And so I did the same thing last Friday. I met with the school superintendent for a myriad of things, both to introduce each other and also to say, I don't want to throw you under the bus. This is going to be on the council agenda. And of course, I have received already a couple concerns with this at my office. So I'm just making you aware, and that's what this resolution is asking. Allow us to have that conversation. And it's mostly, again, because we're in a small town and we have these conversations, people are going to come to you all, calling you and so forth. So that's all we're asking at this time.
And we do have a committee, an education committee with the city. Isn't there a cross committee
Yes. We haven't done it. We haven't had
that could call a meeting? Because it's by the call of a meeting, correct? It's not
By the call of a
anything
meeting.
scheduled.
Correct.
So we have a mechanism to talk about it
Great.
already in place.
Okay.
I know we've had discussion on this before, like a year ago. about the crossing guards, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we have.
That we did have that conversation already on this. There was situations or problems.
So I'm all for moving forward with the discussion, you know.
Yep, definitely move ahead with the discussion and get that committee active.
Can we just do it through that committee? Do we not need any kind?
Do you need a resolution or a approval to do it, or?
You know, if your recommendation says we're not going to do it by resolution, we're going to want to do it by committee. That's totally acceptable. I think at least we at least can start the conversation.
And then if we see it moving forward, then we can get the resolution in place.
Absolutely.
The ordinance, so that we have the mechanism then to do it. But
Committee can bring it to the board.
Definitely.
So I would make a motion to move it through the committee. To have discussion on crossing guards between our joint school district city committee.
Yeah. We have a
Second.
motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of putting this towards the committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Council.
Resolution amending the City of Toma Flexible Benefits Plan.
Okay, so what this resolution is for on December 27, 2020, there was something called HR 133 Consolidated Appropriations Act that was signed into law. So it's right at the end of last year. And that impacted our cafeteria plan, which is our flexible spending account that employees can put money in and save pre-tax. So because of those law changes, our contract is actually needs to change, but we can't do that without a resolution. So the resolution is to allow for the changes in the law to take effect in our actual plan in the city. So you can see that one of the changes was there's a carry forward rule for dependents age that changes the allowed age from 12 to 13. So they increased the age. It previously allowed the dependent age for children just 12 and under. There was a change where, normally previously changes to enrollment or election of your amounts that you want to save or put away were only able to be changed during open enrollment periods and during special status changes like getting married or having a baby or getting a divorce. Or something like that. A change now in the law allows for employees to change elections throughout the year without having to have an approved change in status. And the company that we work with from BPA suggested that we don't do that willy-nilly, that it should be on a case-by-case. If we look at it, it shouldn't be something people are changing a lot throughout the year, but it still is an allowable change in the law, and so we need to change it in our plan. And then the last was a carryover of unused funds. So previously, any funds that were not used at the closure of the plan year were forfeited by the employee over anything over $500. It was use it or lose it. The change now allows for any unused funds at the end of the 2020 and the 2021 plan year to be carried over to the next plan year to be used. So those are the changes in the law that are outlined, and this resolution is to accept those changes into our plan, city's plan.
That age change, is that for 1 year or is that?
Well, the carry forward rule is only for the 2020 and 2021, as far as I understand right now.
Yeah, that meant that age changed from 12 to 13. Does that drop back to 12 in 2022?
I believe so, but I don't know what the law changes are going to be. So right now the law is to 13.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the plan.
Motion approved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Second. Is there any other discussion? See none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Senior and Disabled Services Center contract agreement with Monroe County.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? See none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bid approval for the automated garbage totes.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Request for approval to purchase materials to repair Buckley Park Scout Cabin. Joe.
Hello again.
Hello, Joe.
You can see in your packet there, the report here for approval. It's been quite a lengthy process. We talked about last month at the meeting with the Scout Cabin and the condition it's been in for years down at Buckley Park. After that meeting, I reached out to some local contractors, construction companies, met down there, and you can see there in your packet, 3 of them have come on board to donate labor, their services for the repair of the cabin. So at this time, requesting use of funds to move ahead with that project. Right now, I have it in there at $45,637.43. Hoping that we still come below that with some areas built in there for engineer services if we do need that for structural, but that could go down quite a bit as well once we get diving into the actual putting up the logs and rebuilding that. So great community has come together. T2 Construction, Wire Pro, John Shuck Plumbing, and our Public Works Department, and then plan on working with the different scout groups to do projects within there with painting, cleaning, aesthetic areas as a joint community project with the Parks Department here. The timeline, if approved tonight, tomorrow, would be hopefully early April. We do have to get some of the logs timbered for the beams with about 8 to 10 week lead time for that. But as soon as we get that, T2 would rather come in and remove the roof and get going here in kind of the downtime before construction season really gets geared up. So I guess any questions, concerns at this time with where we're at with this, the cabin?
So dragging our feet for this time, we're down from what we had $170,000 bid just for labor back and didn't even include the materials. And now we're down to the community getting behind it and donating, and only around 50,000 seems to be coming together well with a lot of work on your part, Joe. It's amazing.
Yeah, and give credit to the contractors, and then also, Meadow Valley Log Home and Toma Lumber, they're on board with stuff at cost with the log products and stuff like that. So I'm not upcharging things like that. So it is, nice to see that. And like we talked about a few times at Park Board, there is a lot of interest with the historical group in town, the committee, and also different scout members that have not only have kids in there, but once were kids themselves at that cabin, some of these individuals that are donating their labor. So, and kudos out to Mr. Eric Stickney with T2 Construction, because without them taking the lead on the major renovation of this project, we couldn't get down where we need to be to hopefully get it fixed here. So.
Yeah, it's great to see the community coming together and volunteering to help and get this project going, because it's been a long discussed situation going on. So it's good to see that.
I'd say about 10 years.
Long time.
And also kudos to this body for being skeptical on dragging its feet, and the Park Board that has also had some very skeptical members on these high numbers and holding this project to the fire on under $100,000, because, as I said before, the numbers were just going skyrocketing
The wrong way.
in the beginning.
Unique structure, and it's it's going to be quite the adventure digging into that, but they're on board, and we'll be down there and helping and making sure we get this put back where we can utilize it for the community for years to come. So it'll be a nice addition to Buckley Park down there.
So is there any other discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve ahead for the purchase of materials to repair Buckley Park.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? We have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? See none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Finally.
Fire Department Funds 2020 Audit.
All right, so on a yearly basis, I look at the fire department's fundraising activity, look at their books and verify that things look good. You'll notice that I left a piece of paper with highlighted things. I don't know if my computer didn't save right or what, but there are some wrong numbers on the first set of sheets that I passed out that were in the packet. I find no issues whatsoever with the books for the fire department, and I would request that you approve their annual audit.
Motion to approve, second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of replacement of the air handling unit.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those,
Is this gonna cure our leak problems that we had last summer?
I don't think that there's a guarantee out there, except for the insurance that we carry, that would satisfy that.
is there any other discussion? Kirk, you have anything else to?
No, unless you have some questions.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Anybody against? Those are my brain right now.
It is 28,000 under estimate or under budget.
Yeah, and it actually, a good, ask a question, it is including a ultraviolet system that will disinfect the air, help with COVID issues, just your normal flu. So that'll be a great improvement too. The comfort will be much better. The efficiency on the unit with energy cost, it's more or less a win-win.
Right, and I think La Crosse just put all in their buildings, didn't they?
Yeah, a lot
They,
of
with
people
all
are
this
going to that
pathogen and
UV.
everything,
It was only like $10,000. I mean, just for
that little extra,
people sick time, you know, it should reduce that.
right? Okay, and motion carried. Resolution authorizing the payment of monthly bills.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Ellers information and presentation on debt refinancing.
Thank you, council. Just to kind of, this is more informational for tonight. We'll be doing a presentation, David Ferris with Ellers. He will not be on time at 6:30, so whenever he's got another meeting, but he will call in. So whenever he's available, we'll try and do that presentation at that time, or we'll call him when you all are ready. He did send me an updated information. I believe I put that at your seat at 5:37 tonight. And I don't know if Kirk wants to talk about any of his potential debts, whether he wants to pay them off or just include it in another bond. But this is looking at our refinance. The reason we're looking at it, I believe, what was that? You that was in my office or someone in my office saying the county just got a bond for 30 years at less than 2%. And normally when you go to a 20-year.
Was not me.
Okay. You're going to have less than that. And so I apologize for not putting my speaker on. So if you want me to repeat, just let me know. But what we're looking at is some of them could be 1.4 to 1.94 in interest rate. And I know that Kirk said he was looking at his bonds. Would it behoove the Public Works just to pay off some of those bonds if they do have cash in there? One thing with bonds, you've got to remember that you have the bonding agent. Then when you're doing a bond, you have the bonding attorney. then you have the annual fees as well to manage that bond. But if we can get a lower bond, this also may be helping with your debt ceiling, which we're getting close to. And at a lower interest rate, we probably have obviously a lower payment, which I can't say it will lower taxes because Julia has been doing a great job making sure we don't report as much that we don't if we don't need it. And so that's very helpful to the residents as well. But that does mean that we could clear up some money from the general fund to be able to spend on other projects instead of paying the bonds. And that's basically what you're doing when you're not collecting all the debt. You're using your regular or your base material, your base amount of collection to help with paying on the bond. But I just wanted to give you that kind of heads up tonight for the presentation tomorrow. And if you had any questions that I might be able to answer. But again, I'm not a financial whiz kid, so.
So this is a refinancing of bonds that we already
Yes,
have issued.
correct. Not all of them, but a select number of them. And then also.
Right, not all bonds, but
Correct.
a portion of our bond portfolio.
Correct. And he's also.
Does it include anything for this, what's coming up? Because are we going to be borrowing for this year also?
Yes, we're going to also look at going out for a bond for a fire department. And previously you had planned doing $5 million and $5 million, but because again, the interest rate is so good, we may just do all 10 and a half, 11. And if you want to add a fire truck, maybe it's 12 million. Because I know that Chief has plans of hopefully buying a new ladder truck. If that's not correct, I believe that's correct. And do you want to add that in, or do you want to add it to a lease agreement? Because then you don't get to your debt ceiling either.
Okay, because we have totes on, we've had a grader,
yeah,
and some equipment too, and I'm assuming we don't have cash on hand for that. Are
Well,
we going to be bonding?
I haven't found the end of the rainbow yet for the city of Toma.
So I was just curious. So are we going to be mixing this refinance in with some new bonding plus refinancing old?
It could be. I mean, it's going to depend on what David recommends to
Okay,
us.
so
tomorrow night.
to be.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
And I don't know, again, Kirk, if you wanted to mention anything.
I was able to look at our stuff for a little while, Friday and today. And what I think would like to talk to Paris about is paying off the Water One AE 2014A at 630,000 roughly. And then AE 2014A Sewer 2 on the page 1 of the summary. And as Richard had mentioned earlier, that should help with the general obligation because those are general obligation loans, help with your debt ceiling a little bit too. That's all I've looked at and kind of found. Like I said, we didn't get together because we were still looking at it because it kind of came up quick. So.
Yeah, this was like last minute last week, and I did get an earful from, and rightfully so, from the city clerk that this is behind schedule now and had to do it. And when I told her that we were looking at potential of 70,000, she was okay with it. At least I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I hope so.
As long as she gets her piece of the pie.
I will go buy some.
Okay, so information for tomorrow then?
Yes. Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, motion passes.
Brad, did you notice that covert expenses had all 100% retroactive back to January?